Alright, so today I removed the fuel pump off my 2007 Honda Rancher. I've been having intermittent problems with it. Under load, when you press the throttle, it spits and sputters like the fuel pressure's not high enough, or there's no fuel being delivered. So after some research online, I discovered that probably the most likely cause is the fuel filter in the bottom of the fuel pump housing. So I've removed the fuel pump and all the connections, and right down inside here is where the fuel filter sits for the fuel injection. And the problem is it's more or less sucking off the bottom of this housing, and over time the filter becomes clogged with sediment or dirt, whatever's gotten down into your fuel tank, and it doesn't allow enough flow through to get the proper pressure that the fuel injection needs. So what I have on order is a new kit that replaces this bottom mount fuel filter and locates it vertically so that it's not pulling the fuel directly off the bottom of the housing. So we'll have to wait a couple days for the mail to come. I've got one on order, as well as another one of these retainer clips and the rubber bushing that goes on your fuel connection on the top. And they are supposedly not reusable, so I've ordered another one of them as well. Here's the retainer ring that sits on top and holds the fuel pump assembly down in the housing. So now we wait. Okay, so we're back. I finally got the parts. It took about a week. They came from California, from the store I ordered them from. And what I ordered the retainer clip. This is the rubber grommet that goes underneath the connection, and the retainer clip goes over top of it. And then here is our replacement kit that is going to relocate the bottom filter from underneath the fuel pump to make it in a horizontal location, so that hopefully it won't suck as much of that dirt off the bottom of the filter housing. So you have a new cover that fits over the pump, and then right here is the port on the side that will fit the filter. You have a small O-ring which fits inside where the filter locks on, and then you have your two O-rings that go on the pump and in the pump housing to seal it all up. Take a look at what I did before I ever took the pump off. I just took a Sharpie and made two marks on both the top of the fuel pump and the housing, just so I could relocate everything back the same way it was where it came off, so all the connections will fit right when I put the pump back on the ATV. If I go ahead and pull this out of here, you'll see there's the piece we're going to replace, and right on the bottom there is where the old filter fit on. So give me a second, let me get this old filter out of here. I just kind of threw everything back down in there so I wouldn't lose anything, and I'll show you what the dirty filter looked like that we're replacing. Alright, you can see the filter that fit on the bottom before was round, so it would take the shape of the bottom of the filter housing. And look how clean, look at the difference between the new filter and the old filter. So you can tell, you know, I've seen worse on the internet, but this one's pretty dirty. I mean, it's done its job. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to clean up the inside of the housing. There's a little dirt down there in the bottom. And then we're going to replace these O-rings in here and get everything buttoned back up. Okay, so you can see I have the new filter holder on there, and I've gone ahead and put the small O-ring and its location. The instructions say to put some silicone grease on it, but I didn't have any, so I just used some silicone spray. So I'm going to go ahead and put the filter on and get it back in the housing and put those two O-rings in, and then we'll start tightening it up. Alright, I got everything buttoned back up. I have the new retainer and rubber back on it, and the retainer ring for the fuel pump, and I torqued all of the bolts down to 6.5 foot-pounds, which is what the shop manual recommends. I didn't have a torque wrench foot-pounds, mine's in inch-pounds, so I used 78 inch-pounds. So now we're going to get it over here, back in the four-wheeler, and make all the connections, and turn the fuel pump on and see if it works, see if we have any leaks. Just a side note, when I was taking this panel off here, I had a lot of problem with this bolt, so when I reinstall that, I'm just going to put a little bit of anti-seize on it, but the rest of it was just the plastic push clips. Alright, I got everything back in. I made all the connections. There's 4 connections under there. There's your incoming fuel. There's the fuel coming out of the pump. There is an electrical connector right back there. And then the other hose, I'm not sure. It's a smaller hose, might be a breather or something like that. A vent line on the back side. These hoses just have a little squeeze together spring clips to take off and on. So you just slide them back down and then squeeze them and put it back over the joint there. So everything went together pretty well. Let's go ahead and fire it up, see what happens. There you can hear the pump running. Sounds good. So I wish I'd have got a video before I started this, but I had hesitation. Every time you push the throttle, it would just basically cut the motor out like it wasn't getting fuel. And after seeing the filter, the clean one beside the dirty one, you can tell it was pretty plugged up. So hopefully I won't have to mess with this for another 7 years. But it wasn't that bad of a job. The longest part was waiting on all the pieces to arrive. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this up there for you guys to check out. I hope it helps somebody out.